It's one of those mornings. You wake up with a heavy feeling in your chest. There's no clear reason, just that quiet sense of emptiness, irritation, or vague anxiety you can't quite name. You try to shake it off, make some coffee, check your phone, scroll through a few headlines, and suddenly you find yourself caught in a storm of negative thoughts. Have you ever felt like that, like your mind has been hijacked? As if a grey cloud has covered everything, and no matter what you do, you can't make it go away? I've met so many people who live in that state, from young professionals overwhelmed by work pressure to successful entrepreneurs who look confident on the outside but quietly crumble on the inside. One of my clients once told me, "I don't even know why I'm so tired. Everything in my life seems fine, but I just don't feel happy anymore." That's what Stoic philosophy calls a disconnection between the mind and the reason, when emotions take over and you forget where you truly are. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher and Roman emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, sois, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That single line can change the way you see your entire life. Because most of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us. It comes from how we react to it. Someone might hurt you, but you decide whether to hold on to that pain or let it go. Work might stress you out, but you choose whether to see it as punishment or as training." I remember a friend of mine who went through a deep emotional breakdown. Every morning she woke up feeling that life had lost all meaning. She tried everything, meditation, books, traveling, but nothing worked. Until one day she started writing down everything she was afraid of, and then she asked herself, what's the worst that could happen? And she realized something profound. Most of the fears living in her head never actually happened. They were just products of an untrained imagination. That was her Stoic awakening, the moment she stopped running from her emotions and started observing them. Stoicism doesn't teach us to be cold or emotionless. It teaches us to look at emotions directly, but not let them drive the wheel. Like standing in the middle of a storm to discern, instead of being swept away, you choose to stay still, watching how the wind blows, how the rain falls. You realize the storm is not your enemy, it's just part of the weather. And your negative emotions, they're just part of being human. In today's noisy, fast-paced world, we forget this truth. Every notification, every comment, every comparison on social media can shake our inner balance. We react too quickly. We get angry, defensive, anxious, then guilty. But the Stoics, they did the opposite. They didn't try to silence the storm. They learned to walk through it calmly. So in today's video, I want to take you on a journey. 7 ways to overcome negative states through Stoic philosophy. 7 timeless practices that will not only bring calm in chaos, but also help you understand yourself more deeply. These ideas don't come from dusty old books. They come from real people who've stood face to face with pain and found light within. I won't promise that all your sadness will disappear after this video, but I will promise this. If you practice these lessons, you'll begin to notice a quiet transformation. You'll start reacting less and reflecting more. You'll see negative moments not as enemies, but as invitations to return to yourself. And when that happens, you'll understand what the Stoics knew thousands of years ago. Peace isn't a place without storms. It's the strength to stand tall in the middle of one. Take a breath, let's walk through these 7 ways together. A journey not just to overcome negativity, but to rediscover the quiet freedom within your own mind. 1. Recognize your emotions. Don't run from them, face them. When we fall into a negative state, our first instinct as human beings is to escape. We make ourselves busier, turn up the music louder, scroll endlessly, anything to avoid feeling that quiet sadness sitting somewhere in our chest. But the Stoics understood something different. You can only master what you're willing to face. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it." I remember meeting a middle-aged man during a therapy session in California. He was a successful software engineer, good job, nice house, loving family, yet his eyes were empty. He told me, I don't feel anything anymore. Not happy, not sad, just empty. When I asked if he had ever allowed himself to feel his emotions, he was silent for a long time. He realized that for years, every time he felt sad, he'd bury himself in work. When he felt lonely, he'd open YouTube. When he argued with his wife, he'd drive to the beach. He never once sat down and said to himself, "I'm sad." But the moment he finally admitted it, simply without judgment, something shifted. Because when you recognize your emotions, you separate yourself from them. Instead of saying, "I am weak," you say, "I'm feeling weak right now." That single word, "I am feeling solstice," opens the door to inner freedom. Try this. Next time you feel anxious, angry, or disappointed, don't rush to fix it or escape it. Just observe, like a scientist watching a chemical reaction. No judgment, no labels. Just say to yourself, this is sadness, this is anger, and I am here observing it too. Pause before reacting, the small gap, the great power. Epictetus once said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them." It sounds simple, but hidden in that line is a skill very few modern people practice, the ability to pause. Most of us live in reaction mode. Someone leaves a rude comment, we reply instantly. We hear bad news, we panic immediately. A plan fails where it dies. We start blaming ourselves. But Stoics train themselves to pause between stimulus and response, because that's where real freedom lives. I once worked with a college student who struggled with anxiety and a quick temper. She said, "Whenever someone says something that upsets me, I react instantly, and I always regret it later." I gave her one small exercise. Every time you feel that rush of emotion, take 3 slow breaths before responding. That's it, 3 breaths. A month later, she came back and said, "I can't believe how many problems 3 breaths have saved me from." That's the essence of Stoic self-control, the pause. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, but within that tiny pause, you gain the power to choose a different response. And every time you choose differently, you strengthen your mind. So next time you feel the urge to react, remember, you don't have to respond right away. Take a deep breath, let reason walk into the room before emotion slams the door. 3. Write down your fears. Face the worst case scenario. The Stoics practiced a powerful exercise called premeditatio malorum. The premeditation of evils. It means imagining the worst case scenario, not to be pessimistic, but to make the mind resilient. When we're anxious, our minds tend to exaggerate everything. We fear failure, loss, rejection, but when asked what's the worst that could really happen, most people can't answer clearly. I once worked with a businessman in New York. He wanted to quit his job and start his own company, but the fear of failure kept him awake at night. I told him to write it down. If I fail, what will actually happen? He wrote, I'll lose money. I asked, then what? He said, maybe I'll have to go back to my old job. And then? He smiled a little. Well, I'd still have experience, my health, and my wife would still love me. That's when it clicked for him. When we write down our fears, we expose them to light, and once seen clearly, they lose their power. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "Today I escaped from anxiety. Or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside." If you're anxious, sit down and write. Detail every fear that's haunting you. Then ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Could I survive it? And if I could, what lesson would I learn from it? Most of the time, you'll realize something liberating. Things aren't nearly as scary as you imagined. 4. Focus on what you can control. Among all Stoic teachings, This might be the most essential and the strongest antidote to every negative emotion. Epictetus said it plainly. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Happiness begins the moment we learn to distinguish between the two. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control what we simply can't. Other people's opinions, future outcomes, the past that's already gone. And when we fail to do the impossible, we turn our frustration inward. Disappointment, guilt, negativity. Think about something simple. You're driving and someone cuts you off. Your first instinct is anger. But if you stop and ask yourself, is this within my control? The answer is no. You can't control that driver. You can only control how you respond. Scream in frustration or smile and keep driving. Negative emotions are like ocean waves. You can't command the waves to stop, but you can learn how to surf. When you focus on what's within your control, you take back the wheel of your own life. One of my students once shared this. I used to spend all day trying to make everyone like me. When someone didn't, I'd feel anxious and replay it in my head for hours. Now I just ask myself, did I act with honesty and kindness? If I did, that's enough. That's the Stoic mindset. Not indifference, but awareness. You stop wasting energy on what's beyond your reach because you understand that energy is far more valuable when used to improve yourself. When you recognize your emotions, pause before reacting, face your fears, and focus only on what you can control. You rebuild the bridge between your mind and the world. You're no longer a traveler lost in the storm of emotions. You become the captain of your own ship, still sailing through the storm, but slowly, steadily, and with purpose. That is the essence of Stoicism, not to avoid emotions, but to walk through them with open eyes and a calm heart. 5. Turn hardship into training for the soul. The Stoics had a unique belief. Every hardship is an opportunity to train the soul. Nothing happens against you, everything happens for you to grow. I once worked with a former soldier named Robert. After leaving the military, he struggled with depression. He told me, "I've faced battlefields before, but now, facing myself each day feels harder than war." I asked him, what if this pain is a kind of training? He looked at me skeptically. Training for what? I said, for calmness, for inner strength, the kind no battlefield can teach. From that day he started journaling whenever he felt low, not to complain but to learn. Each entry ended with one question. What lesson is this teaching me today? A month later he said, I still have dark days, but I don't hate them anymore. I see them as workouts for my soul. That's the Stoic spirit, not to avoid pain, but to transform it into fuel for growth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the fire that turns everything thrown into it into light and heat." So the next time life throws something hard at you, betrayal, loss, rejection, ask yourself, what is this moment training me for? Maybe it's patience, maybe compassion, maybe it's the strength to stay grounded when everything around you is falling apart. A strong soul isn't one that has never fallen, it's one that keeps standing back up, calmer, wiser, and kinder each time. That's the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't promise a life without storms. It teaches you how to use the storm to become stronger. 6. Practice gratitude every day. If there's one kind of energy that can dissolve negativity faster than anything else, it's gratitude. When you feel grateful, you simply can't feel angry, jealous, or hopeless at the same time. Just like light and darkness cannot exist in the same room, a single beam of light can chase away the dark. I once worked with a woman going through a very difficult time. She had lost her job, ended a long-term relationship, and felt completely lost. In our first conversation, she told me, I just don't see anything to be grateful for anymore. I suggested a classic Stoic exercise. Every morning before touching your phone, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big, they just have to be real. Something like the "I can still breathe." I have a friend who listens. I still have a chance to start again. A month later she messaged me, "Nothing outside of me has changed much, but inside I feel completely different." That's the power of gratitude. It doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes how you see them. The Stoics didn't seek joy in grand achievements, but in simple, ordinary things. Seneca wrote, "A happy person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least." So the next time you feel negative, ask yourself, if I lost everything this morning, what would I wish I could get back? That answer, that's what you should be grateful for right now. Gratitude isn't just a mindset, it's a daily practice. Negative emotions will always appear, but if you train your mind to return to gratitude, it will always find its way back to the light. 7. Slow down and reconnect with nature. In today's modern world, perhaps the rarest luxury isn't money or fame, it's stillness. And the Stoics understood that stillness doesn't mean escaping life. It means returning to the natural rhythm of the mind. Marcus Aurelius often found peace by walking through the woods or staring at the night sky. He once wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars and see yourself running with them." When you feel negative, step away from the screen, go outside, and simply observe. Don't analyze, don't take notes, just watch. The trees, the wind, the light, the drifting clouds. Nature has its own language, one that doesn't speak in words, but in the quiet rhythm of existence. I have a friend who works in finance in Los Angeles. He lives under constant pressure, deadlines, meetings, numbers, expectations. One day he told me, "I feel like a machine. I don't feel anything anymore." I suggested he spend just 30 minutes each week at a nearby park, not walking, not meditating, just sitting still. He laughed. "Sit still? I'll go crazy." But he tried it, and 2 weeks later he texted me, "I didn't go crazy. I realized I haven't been breathing properly for years." Slowing down is a quiet act of rebellion in a world that glorifies speed. It's not weakness, it's presence. Because when you slow down, you start to notice what you've been missing. The sound of leaves, the smell of morning air, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. And when you truly reconnect with nature, you begin to see everything has a rhythm, even your negative emotions. They come and go, like rain, like wind. Nothing lasts forever, not even pain. That's why the Stoics always said, live in harmony with nature. To live in harmony doesn't mean to control or resist, it means to flow with it. Because when you accept the natural rhythm of life, you're also accepting yourself. These 7 Stoic practices aren't tips to make negativity disappear. They're ways to face it with calm and clarity. The first 4 help you understand and master your mind. The last 3 help you transform and nurture it. Together they form a complete way of living, one where peace replaces anxiety, purpose replaces confusion, and inner strength replaces the need for control. And if you've ever asked yourself, can I truly be at peace in such a chaotic world? The Stoics would gently smile and answer, yes. But that peace must begin within you. If you've made it this far with me, you've probably realized something. Everything we've talked about in this video, it's not about escaping negative emotions, but about learning how to live with them consciously. The Stoics never promised that life would be easy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one." And that's the true essence of Stoicism. It's not about silencing sadness, it's about learning to stand firm in the middle of it. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about understanding the value that pain brings. When you learn to recognize your emotions, you're no longer ruled by them. When you learn to pause before reacting, you take back your freedom. When you dare to write down your fears and face them, you're training real courage. When you focus only on what you can control, you step out of the spiral of helplessness. And when you practice gratitude, slow down and reconnect with nature. You stop being a victim of life and become its companion. I know there are days when you feel exhausted, nights when you lie awake staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, am I really on the right path? Do I have what it takes to get through all of this? And I want you to know this, you're not alone. We've all been there, lost inside our own minds, not because life is too harsh, but because we've forgotten how to return home. To ourselves. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy, it's a map for the modern mind. It reminds us that even in a world of noise and chaos, you always have the power to choose peace. No one can take that from you as Veo3 unless you give it away. Seneca once said, if you want peace, let things flow as they are. And when you truly live that way, you stop chasing happiness, because you become happiness itself. If this video spoke to you, even just a little, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what's one Stoic practice I can apply today? Maybe it's taking one slow, mindful breath, maybe it's feeling grateful for something small, or maybe it's choosing not to react the next time someone upsets you. And if you want to go deeper, to learn how to live calmly, powerfully, and mindfully in a chaotic world, then this is your place. Welcome to Stoic Awakening More. This is where we awaken the calm within, where we train the mind like modern warriors, and where we turn everyday moments into lessons in philosophy and life. So if you find value in this journey, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join me in spreading the Stoic spirit to more people around the world. Because sometimes, just one video, one line, or one moment of stillness can change the way someone sees their entire life. Remember, true strength doesn't come from controlling everything, it comes from controlling yourself. And when you can do that, you don't just overcome negativity, you discover a freedom that nothing and no one can take away. Take a deep breath, be calm, be present, and keep walking like a modern Stoic, knowing that no matter how chaotic the world gets, you can always choose peace. Stoic Awakening More, where strong souls are forged, where peace becomes a habit, and where you learn to live as a philosopher in the modern world.